Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. So in my previous video, I talked about all of the Stephen King covers that I don't like, all of the bad Stephen King covers that I own. In the next two videos that I have for you guys, I'm going to be talking about all of the Stephen King covers that I own that I think are great, the best Stephen King covers. And there's a lot of great Stephen King covers, especially ones that I own, and I have to split it up into two videos. So for this video, it's going to be the classic Stephen King covers, the kind of like the older editions, and all of these are like paperbacks, so they're like the old paperback copies. And then in tomorrow's video, it'll be about the newer Stephen King covers, like the more modern looking covers that are also great. But like I said, for this video, it's going to be the older editions. All right, enough of the preamble. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So for this first book, I have a very old copy, yellow pages and all, and it's one of my favorite Stephen King covers that I own, and that would be Night Shift I was going to say by Stephen King, duh, but yes, Night Shift. It's a very cool retro looking cover. It almost looks like it could be like an old sci-fi cover, which, you know, the story that this cover is based on, called I Am the Doorway, this actually pertains to that story. So if you read that story, you'll figure out what this is, and I always thought it was striking. Funny enough, like my grandma had a copy of this book, which, you know, she's since passed, but like she would normally read like a lot of mysteries and thrillers and then romance, but like she randomly had this book, and I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh, you got a Stephen King book here. And it was this edition. So I've had this, and she's clearly had it for a while. And yes, I've always thought this was a really cool cover, especially since it pertains to an actual story in the collection. I don't like to read from this copy because it, like I said, it is old, like it's kind of worn out. So I do have a newer edition that when I read the stories in, like we've been doing for the book club, I will read from that edition and kind of try to preserve this as much as possible. I like just looking at it just because the cover is so cool and kind of creepy and unique. So yes, this is one of my favorites, and it's definitely one of the favorite older copies that I have. And also let me know what you guys think of this one. Now the next book I have to show y'all is The Stand, which admittedly is not one of my favorite Stephen King books. I think it's highly overrated, and unsubscribe. But admittedly, The Stand does have some pretty cool covers. Now the version that I have, since I don't really like hardcovers, I have the 1985 paperback version, which is still the edited version, which the version that I read was the like uncut and unedited version, which I thought was way too long and overdrawn out. I'm much more interested in reading this copy because it's only 800 pages, so I think it'll read much better. And not only that, but it has a really cool cover. And yes, this is the 1985 paperback version of The Stand. Now, it originally came out in, I believe, 78. Now, when he released this in paperback form, I think he actually updated some of the references for like the 80s, whereas like The Stand, a lot of the references were like 70s references. And then he did the same thing for the uncut version. I think he updated a lot of the references, but either way, I think this is a really cool cover. Like I really like the black, and then it leads into the blue, and then you got the dude on the cover with the bird and the matching eyes. I really like this version, and I'm very interested to read this one day and to definitively say whether or not I like this more than the uncut version. So yes, for all of those reasons, I'm very excited to jump into it at some point And of course, it has a really cool cover, and I'll be interested to see what you guys think of it. Do you like it, or do you like this version of the stand better? Let me know. I kind of prefer this one, if I'm being honest. So yeah, it's definitely a cool retro Stephen King cover that I really like. This next book is one of my all-time favorite Stephen King novels. I put it very high up on my Stephen King ranking list, and it probably somewhere in my top 10, I believe. And not only that, it also has a very cool cover, which I don't need to buy any more covers because this is a really cool cover, and that would be Firestarter. And yes, look at that cover. I like how it's very simple. It's just a black cover with like silver title, and Stephen King's name is in silver, and then you've just got the eyes, and then you've got the fire over the face. I really like it. I think it's very simple but very effective and very cool looking. And then if I zoom in a little closely, you can see that the fire is actually in the pupils also. So yes, very, very cool cover. And then on top of that, one of his all-time best novels, in my opinion. So yes, I don't need any more editions. I'm sure there are some other cool editions that I'll put up here that are probably similar in nature. I think I remember like the old hardcover edition being similar. But like I said, I don't like hardcovers. I much prefer paperbacks. So I'm very happy with this older edition. And I'm definitely going to keep it and probably just stick with this one. So yes, Firestarter, a terrific classic cover. Let me know what you guys think. This next book is a classic Stephen King book. I enjoy it, even though I do think it's slightly, somewhat overrated. Not one of my all-time favorites, but it's great. And I feel like this cover is very classic, and I'm not sure any other edition of this book would be as good, and that would be Pet Sematary. And this is the classic paperback copy. I'm not sure if it's the same as the hardcover or not. I think it might be, but either way, like it's a very cool cover, very creepy looking, and then of course you've got the iconic cat. And yes, it's very cool cover, very classic. I feel like even before I started reading Stephen King in college, I already knew what this cover looked like. And yes, it's very iconic. I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me in saying that this is one of his best covers, but obviously let me know what you guys think down below. And I'll put up some other editions here. I don't think I'll find any that are better than this one. We'll see. But of course, I'm going to be sticking with this version. And even though it's an older edition, it's still in like relatively good shape. So that's good. So I'm definitely going to be keeping this one of my all-time favorite classic Stephen King covers. And also, let me know what you guys think. Now, this next book is also one of my all-time favorite King books, and it's got a cool cover, but I actually have two copies. Now, they're the same cover and they're the same edition, but they're in two different color schemes. And I always have a hard time figuring out which one I like more. Maybe you guys can decide for me. Not for me, but for yourselves. You know what I mean. But it's Eyes of the Dragon. And I've got two pretty covers here. Get the glare out of here. One of them is green and orange, and then one of them is red and black. They're the same color, or not the same color, you idiot. They're the same cover and the same font and the same image, but just a different color scheme. I'm interested to see what you guys think. Do you like this version or do you like this version? I'm always torn because I do really like how the orange and the green look together, especially with the actual dragon is very colorful. So I think it makes sense. But then you've also got the red and black, which I think just makes more sense for a Stephen King book. A lot of his older editions, like the background is black or dark. So I think it makes more sense for this. But like I said, I love both versions. And it also helps that I love the book. That's why I have 2 copies. Both of these I got cheap and they're used. You know, like the cover is a little scratched up, but oh well, I think I got it for $1. So yes, let me know what you guys think. I think I'm leaning more towards this one, but they're both great and definitely one of my favorite Stephen King covers that I own. The next book I have is actually one of my favorite Richard Bachman novels, and that would be Thinner. And admittedly, this does have a very simple cover. There's not a lot to it, but sometimes I enjoy that in a book cover. And that would be Thinner. And like I said with Eyes of the Dragon, a lot of his older editions just have like a very simple black background with like a gray or silver title and author name, and literally the only thing, you know, about this that's not simple is just the red handprint, the bloody handprint, which I think it makes sense. Just, well, it doesn't make sense necessarily, but I just think it's simple and I really enjoy it. And I'm starting to figure out that I don't really have too much to say other than just I enjoy this cover for its simplicity. And sometimes, you know, simple is better. And I'm not quite sure if I can find any better editions, but if I find any, I'll put them up here. Or if not, you know, I'm just making this motion. Blah, blah, blah. So yes, it's not the most like extravagant cover of all time. It's not overly complex. It's very simple concept, and I really enjoy it. And I'm curious to see what you guys think of it. Do you like it or not? Do you think it's too simple or too bland? I think it's pretty cool. Yes. This next book is my second favorite King novel of all time. Fantastic. I love it. And I feel like this cover is pretty iconic. I think it might be the same as the hardcover. I can't quite remember, but it's definitely very similar. And that would be Misery. And the cover, an old paperback cover, is really cool. It's different than in a lot of the ones that I just showed you because it's not like an all black background. You actually have, an illustration here. And then of course you got the title in all red, blood red. And then you've got Paul Sheldon sitting next to the window in his wheelchair. And then you've got the shadow of Annie Wilkes holding her axe. So yes, very cool, very creepy cover. One of my all-time, not only one of my all-time favorite King books, but just overall one of my favorite King book covers ever. And definitely let me know what you guys think of this. I'm sure you guys will enjoy this cover. And if I can find any that look better, first I'll put up the original hardcover because I think it's similar, if not the same. I can't quite remember. And if there's any other versions that I like that I find on the interwebs, I will post it here. If not, I will post something hilarious that I'm holding. But yes, I love this book. I love this cover. And I'm sure you guys will as well. But of course, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. This next Stephen King book is highly underrated in my opinion. I put it fairly high on my ranking list. Not a lot of King fans have actually read it. I think because it was like the last book that he wrote in the 80s. And I feel like people back then had just gotten tired of Stephen King's output because he just released so many books in the 80s. And by that point, people were just kind of burnt out on his writing. And also it doesn't have like a super famous adaptation either, so not a lot of people have even heard of this book. But it's a great book, and I feel like it has a pretty cool cover as well. And that would be The Dark Half. Now, if you've read this book, you understand the cover, and if not, I think it's still a pretty cool looking cover. You've got the birds creating almost a face. You got the eyes together, and I think it of course fits with what's in the story, but I also just think it's a cool cover on its own. Highly recommend the book for any constant reader who hasn't picked this up yet. It's very, very underrated in my opinion. Great book, and also a very cool cover, and I'd be interested to see what you guys think of it. And then if there's, of course, with all of these, if there's any other editions that I think look cool, I'll put them here. But for me, I'm super happy with the version that I got. And it's an older copy, but it's a little rough, but it's fine. So yes, great underrated Stephen King novel. Also a pretty cool cover. What if I put this in front here, in my face? Yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Dumbass. All right, another one of my all-time favorite Stephen King books that has a really cool older edition or older cover would be Needful Things. And it's a great cover, and you've got the Stephen King in red, you've got Needful Things in shiny gold, and then you've got Castle Rock in the background, and then you've got the actual store that's like a big part of the book, obviously. And I love this cover, and I hate that like the bottom corner of it is torn out. Hopefully I can find another edition that doesn't have that. But yes, and then if you look in the window, there's some stuff in there. Hopefully it can show up. But yeah, I just think it's a pretty cool cover. And then also, same thing on the spine. And then if you go in the back cover, it also extends out. And yeah, it's just a pretty cool cover. And also just one of his all-time best books. And let me know what you guys think of this cover as well. And if I remember correctly, it's very similar to the hardcover edition. If not, I want it to be like totally different. But I'm pretty sure it's very similar. But yeah, like I said, I don't like hardcovers, so having the paperback is just fine for me. I wish the corner wasn't slightly torn, but oh well. Oh well. Great Stephen King book, great cover. Let me know what you guys think. And then the last book I have for this version of the video for my older editions of Stephen King covers, we have another great book. Not one of my like all-time favorites. I think it's in my top 35, maybe. Like it's fairly high, but it's not like all-time great. That would be Dolores Claiborne. And it's a pretty cool cover. And the cover, makes a little bit more sense if you've read the book. You've got, the house, and then you've got the eclipse in the back, which is important to the story. But yes, it's a great book, and I definitely recommend it to constant readers if you haven't checked it out yet. And I've always liked this cover. In a way, it's pretty simple, but also I love, Stephen King's name and then Dolores Claiborne. I love the font that they use for it, and it's kind of got red with a little bit of gold mixed in. And then the eclipse, I think, just looks really cool. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this one. I also think it's very similar to the hardcover edition. If not, oh well, I'm probably showing you something else. But yeah, I'm happy with the edition I have. It's a cool cover, cool book. Let me know what you guys think. All right, so that wraps up this episode, part one, essentially, of Stephen King best covers that I own. These were all sort of like older, more classic, more retro editions of Stephen King books that I own. I think they all look great, and I'd be very interested to see what you guys think. And if you can name any more, like I know there's some editions that I don't have, like the Carrie and the Shining and like Salem's Lot. I know they all have pretty cool, like more classic editions that I don't own. I'd love to own them because I do love those. But yes. And like I said, let me know what you guys think of my picks here, whether you agree with me and think that these covers are cool, or if you disagree with me and think that they're bad. Either way, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And then, of course, stay tuned for tomorrow's video, which I'll be doing the same thing, talking about Stephen King's best covers, except in tomorrow's video, it'll all be newer editions. So, and most of them are newer books. There's one older book with a newer cover, and you'll probably see that at the beginning of the video. And yes, so look forward to more talk about Stephen King covers in tomorrow's video. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and the Book Astronomer Discord. And if you'd like to further support me financially, go check out my Patreon page and see what that's all about. But anyway, thank you so much for watching and have a terrific day.